Hi, friends! Welcome back to this week's class of Dead Funny University. This week we are talking about one of the Marvel heroes I would never, ever, ever want to piss off, Black Widow. Our professor this week is our own Marvel man who knows all things Marvel. Chris, how you doing?
Good, good.
Are you ready to talk to us about Black Widow? Do you know a lot about her?
I am, and well, as far as knowing a lot about her, I don't think anybody can really say they know a lot about her. This is actually pretty interesting. So, unlike our other characters who just weren't shelled out because they just physically weren't, really big hitters, Marvel actually did something kind of interesting with Black Widow, in my opinion, which is her past is really only talked about in panels whenever she's talking about it. So she really doesn't have too much of an origin story. They did like a little bit about it, but the rest of it's kind of left up to like when someone actually gets information out of her, which I thought was pretty cool. So not too much to go on origin wise, but we got enough that I think there might be some things that will interest people that they did not know about Mrs. Natasha Romanoff. So be pretty interesting for sure.
All right, well, I think you need to hit me up with a quiz to get this started.
I think I do. I think I do. So I'm gonna start off with first comic book appearance.
Terrifying Women, number 12.
Obviously wrong.
hmm
What is Black Widow's real name?
Tasha Romanoff?
Technically, that's not even it, but I'll take it. I'll take it as a point
Okay.
ish because it's a little back and forth type deal with that one.
Yeah, I
Because
figured that wasn't real.
yeah, because or well, why is she called Black Widow?
Because some spy network used her to marry guys and then kill them.
No.
Nuts.
What team is she affiliated with?
The Avengers.
No.
Oh.
What is the phrase that she says to the Hulk to get him to calm down?
The sun's setting?
The sun's getting real low.
Getting real low.
There you go. Close enough. Close enough. So you got. Well, we'll give you half point for that one too. So you got two half points. So you got one whole point. There you
Yay! Hey, that's better than I normally do on one of these.
go.
I'm so happy.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. I threw the Hulk one in just for you, and you only got a half point on it.
Oh,
Just
well,
for
thank you
you.
for at least throwing it in for me. I appreciate that.
Good lord. Mm-mm-mm.
All right, well, then what is the base level knowledge that we need to have about Black Widow? Not everything, but just bare minimum.
Bare minimum. She is an orphan. She was actually rescued during a time where the Nazis were storming, and Captain America and Wolverine, actually, Captain America and Wolverine, were helping destroy the Nazis with some other German folk who weren't necessarily part of that organization. And the person who rescued her was Ivan Petrov, or Petrov. I'm going to butcher every one of these German names, so I just want to say that our Russian names. I'm sorry. I just want to say that now. Anybody who watches us and you're Russian, I'm sorry, but it's happening. Anyways, so Ivan, who then chose to adopt her and raise her as his own. She always had dreams of being a ballerina and studied very hard to be one and would spend hours and hours and hours and hours trying to perfect her art. But that was all basically a big hoax, considering the fact that what she didn't know is that she was a sleeper agent, basically, from the get go. Ivan brought her to a facility called the Red Room, and they had a little uh, experiment going on called Black Widow. And it was training young women to be just badass killing machines. And man, were they successful. And did they go into a lot of stuff? They gave her some serums and stuff like that. One of them, which is actually pretty interesting to me, which is an anti aging serum. So she pretty much always looks like she's 30. Why that number, I don't know. But that's why she looks like she hardly ever ages in the comics. I don't know when they gave it to her. That's, under that classified, information
Hopefully
type
not
deal.
at age 12,
Yeah,
because to
right.
go from 12 to 30 would suck.
It's a little bit. And then they also kind of sped up her healing factor and stuff like that, so she can actually kind of heal a little bit. Nothing like on any of the superhero levels, but little bit more average than ours. Um, and just like her overall reflexes and everything like that was all tightened up due to her training. She was trained to be a martial arts master, a sniper, and I think that was it. Oh, and then this one that I thought was interesting is that they wanted to make sure that they got rid of all diseases from all the girls. And one of the diseases that they thought was a disease was the fact of being able to be pregnant. So Black Widow actually cannot have a child, and neither can any other member of the Black Widow program. They thought that it was a disease that needed to be ridded because they wanted agents and not mothers. So thought that was pretty interesting. Yep. And so that whole thing goes on. The Soviet Union then started to get a little worried about what if these agents just decide to go rogue and kill us? What can we do about that? Well, they created a scent, or more of a pheromonal lock and key, if you will, that if that person is wearing that scent, it automatically makes the Black Widow target feel like they are a loved one and therefore would not do any harm towards them. So there's a pheromonal lock and key, as they refer to it in the comics, that they can use to kind of keep these agents tamed and to not killing people that they want to not die. So, yeah, pretty interesting, to say the
That
least.
feels very 70s, but
It
okay.
does. It does. Definitely does. I like the thought of like a guy just walking out and spraying some cologne on. It's like, now I'm safe. Now I'm safe.
Yeah, this is my Black Widow neutralizing axe.
Yep. Get it. So yeah, she kind of did like a lot of different, Black Ops missions and shit like that. Ends up running into Hawkeye. Hawkeye wants to learn a lot more about her. Ends up getting her to kind of like work on some missions with him. She kind of does some freelance work for Shield. And then the Russian government's upset about that, so they end up sending a lot of the Black Widow agents to go kill Black Widow. To where then she then does not die but ends up in the hospital, and that makes Hawkeye turn his life around and become straight and go into the Avengers. And then she ends up joining as well and becoming an Avenger as well, which later ends up getting revoked by Nick Fury because he wants her for Shield. And he actually ends up finding the lock and key pheromone and taking it so that way no one else can use it, although he uses it on himself in order to get her to become an agent of Shield. But she is technically not considered an agent. She is a freelance agent that basically
She's
gets
like a
picked up to use.
contractor,
Pretty much.
consultant.
When they need someone to get the job done, Natasha Romanoff is close to the top of the list to call. So she's up there. She's pretty up there.
She's cool.
Yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure. Her birth name, once again, definitely gonna fuck this up. I know the first one. Natalia, easily. Uh, Elenovna Romanova. But she goes by Natasha Romanoff. Yeah.
Hang on. Natalia Elenovna Romanova.
Alianovna. Yeah. Romanova. Yes. Natalia Romanova is transferred to Natasha Romanoff. So, yes, that is her birth name. She hasn't really had a lot of comics. She first appeared in Tales of Suspense number 52 back in April 1964, to where she was kind of like an on and off character that kind of showed up here and there until she pretty much got her big fame in 2000 coming from the Iron Man movie. And now she has a lot of comics that do a lot more of her Black Ops work and shit like that that we kind of know of as of now. So I would say that's pretty much your base knowledge of Black Widow there. Pretty
Okay.
sitting standard.
Yeah, she's standard.
Uh-huh. Your standard
Okay.
brainwashed government agent, you know.
Now, one thing they don't really touch on is she clearly seems to have been is the red room that was making all these Black Widows, like that was making the Black Widow program. They were doing that for the Russian government,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm. It was a
Is she loyal to the Russian government?
she was, and then the whole like
Mm.
love interest with Hawkeye kind of well. So I guess to
Ah.
back up a little bit, not only the love interest with Hawkeye, but she was betrayed by the Russian government twice. Once, whenever she first got married to a Russian air pilot for the army, they saw that they were getting a little too big and didn't want that to be a thing. So then the Russian army took him and turned him into the Red Defender. Was his name? I don't know. Basically, Russia's version of Captain America. He literally runs around with a shield, just like Captain America.
And they call him the Red Defender?
It's the red something. I don't know if it's Defender. It's the red something. I can't remember what. Hey, obviously, he's not that important. And then they basically told her that he just died. They didn't tell her what happened to him because they obviously restructured like his thoughts and shit like that, so he doesn't have any like memories of him and Natasha or anything like that. And then she ends up training with the Winter Soldier and starts falling in love with the Winter Soldier, and then they put his ass back on ice, and basically she has no idea what happened to him either. So she ends up figuring some
Wait a
stuff
minute.
out, and then loses that loyalty.
So, Winter Soldier. So, Bucky.
Yep, Bucky.
Are those the same character in the.
Mm-hmm. Bucky is the Winter Soldier in the comics as well. Yep, they have a little bit of a love thing going on.
No, do we get to see any of that in the movie? I'm trying to
No,
like think back and see if they have any like.
in my opinion, the only love interest that we've seen in the movie is between her and Cap. It obviously seems like she definitely has something for Cap, in my opinion.
Whoa! She has a whole thing with Hulk. She tries to seduce
Oh,
him.
and Hulk. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I
I feel
think
like
of
that one was
actual
much bigger.
person, and then we're talking like Hulk, and he's not actually an actual person. He's more of like a monster. But I mean,
She likes Bruce Banner too.
let's be real. She wants to see how big Mean Green gets, if you feel me.
Ooh, ew! Stop that! Stop that! That's just unnecessary. Stop that!
She don't want Bruce. She wants the Hulk.
God, no, that's terrifying. That's like the size of your leg at that point, and that's not like ooh. That's like ugh. You run. You run very quickly.
I don't
Or if
know.
you're her, you chop pieces of it off until it's the right size.
Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. He's got a pretty baller healing factor, so I don't know how well that would work out for her.
Ebony, ebony, ebony. Too much.
This is one of those great moments where, like, the real biology aspect comes into play with fucking comic book nerds. It's so fun. Then you get like those
God.
great age questions of how would Superman actually impregnate Lois Lane whenever her son would easily kick his fucking way out of her stomach with one kick. Oh, the baby's kicking. Done.
Death. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're just gonna move right past that. So she had a
Fine.
thing with the pilot, a thing with Bucky,
Hmm.
and then she had a thing with Hawkeye.
Yeah, which is
And the
different
thing with
because in
Hawkeye
the movie
in the
he's married.
yeah.
Yep.
So in the thing in the comics, is that actually kind of a consistent thing
In the
between the two of them?
comics, it's somewhat consistent. It kind of falls off. Like the love, as far as I've read, and obviously there's so much shit that gets redone and revamped and rehashed and all this other shit and all these other different storylines. I can't read every fun comic that comes out because I'm not a goddamn millionaire. But in the stuff that I've read, the whole love interest with Hulk is not a thing in the comics. It's not a thing. That's just kind of something that I guess they replaced Hawkeye with Hulk in the movie, and then made Hawkeye like married and fucking. I don't know if they had plans for him dying early on, and then for some reason that changed because he's fucking useless. But I mean, like I said, they definitely switched that out. Anybody that's a Hawkeye fan, I'm sorry, but there are so many better characters that you could like. There's just so many better characters. I'm not a fan of. I'm sorry. I kind of put Black Widow in that situation too. She's not 100% useless. I think she's somewhat of a badass, but goddamn, like when you're on a team with people like Captain America and Iron Man and the goddamn Hulk and Thor, who's literally a demigod, it's like, or not even a demigod. He's a god. It's like, all right, let's bring these two people, random smos in here who are fucking you're above average shooters and fucking muscle and everything else, and let's just see what happens. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, you kind of don't fit in. That's all I'm saying. You don't fit in. You can go be part of Shield and be in the background and play cleanup detail, but you really don't fit in. I'm sorry.
Do you think they fit in more or less than like War Machine?
I'm not a fan of War Machine. Honestly, I don't care
Same
for War
reason?
Machine either. I mean, he just gets on my nerves. But then you look at where War Machine's at in the comics now. He's the leader of the Avengers. He's not the leader of the Avengers. He's the leader of the West Coast Avengers. Who gives a fuck? No one, because they're not the actual Avengers. So who cares? No one.
West Coast, best coast.
West Coast, East Coast, fucking. I mean, Wisconsin has the worst team. They have the Great Lakes Avengers, and they're fucking terrible. They're absolutely terrible. It's horrible, horrible. It,
Hang on. Midwest gets their own set of Avengers?
it's. I mean, one of them. Her name is Big Bertha. She's like a 500-pound lady. Yep. And then there's Doorman, who basically can just open up a teleport to teleport wherever he wants to, and that's about it. They're terrible. Deadpool killed all of them in one of his series, which was fucking great. And he literally looks like a black and white version of Deadpool too. Doorman does, by the way. Literally looks just
His
like
name is
Deadpool.
Doorman?
Doorman. Yep.
Ugh,
They're terrible. There's literally a whole like 2, 3 comics of Deadpool just fucking their shit up and just making fun of the fact that they're this dumb fucking organization. So yeah.
that is absolute hilarious insanity.
Yeah, it's some
That
pretty funny
sounds
shit.
terrible.
Oh yeah. Oh.
All right, moving back. So it sounds like we can pretty confidently say she's female and she's heterosexual,
Yes,
correct?
so far, yes.
Okay. Now, because I'm pretty sure the fans want to know, does she dabble with women or is it just men?
I have not seen it, but she's one of those
Okay.
characters where it wouldn't surprise me. Living that whole like secret life type deal wouldn't surprise me. So
Okay. And she's definitely a human female and she's definitely in the Marvel universe, specifically on Earth.
yes,
I
that is
have these
also
things
correct.
in here because some of those are not as normal or as easy to know.
Well, I mean, and
So,
then it's like trying to put the difference between whenever you get to the comics too, because she's also not the only Black Widow. Like she fucking dies at some point, and then there's a new
yeah.
Black Widow, and she's blonde, and she's part of the Thunderbolts, which is this whole other fucking organization, which is also just trash. And yeah, it's just it goes on and on and on. It's comics. I mean, at the end of the day, sooner or later you gotta be like, all right, here's the line, and then the rest is it's just comics. So
So, do they ever do anything with Ivan Petrov or whatever his name is? Do they
I did not
ever
follow that
kill him
closely to
or
him, so I don't know. I'm
Okay.
gonna just throw that out there. Don't know.
So it sounds like he was a function to get her from baby to old enough to be dropped off
Yes,
at the Red Room and then
correct.
disappeared essentially.
Which he did
Okay.
by himself, by the way. He definitely did that. So it's not like she was stolen. That was within his plans, which I wonder if like Captain America and Wolverine could have seen that coming. I highly doubt that would have continued the way that it did. So
Did they somehow facilitate that
they
adoption?
were they were over there fighting against the Nazis as well, and they kind
Mhm.
of like helped. The basically there's like a whole bunch of people like under like a fucking stack pile of cars and shit like that, and they kind of helped free them. But the lady was wanting to give up her baby, and so Ivan just like, yeah, I'm adopting this. This is mine now. So that's pretty much how that went.
Suspicious.
Yep.
Okay. So her powers, if you will,
Mhm.
are the healing, the anti-aging, and then her teaching with the sniper rifle and her martial arts
Yeah, and all that.
experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
reflexes and
There's
shit. Yep.
there's nothing else special going on.
Not really.
Okay. And the Black Widow thing, I think you touched on it. For the why was just because that's what the
That's where
Red
she
Room
came
decided to
from.
call them.
Well, the
Yeah.
that's what the program was called, and they actually
Yeah.
wore like
Okay.
white suits, and it had like the little red hourglass on the suit and stuff like that too. So yeah, they
Cute.
were yeah. And by suits, I mean like a sheet, t-shirt, and pants. But yeah, it's all white.
Okay. So her significant relationships are the pilot, the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, and then that's really it.
In
There
comic
isn't.
wise, yes.
Okay, got it. Does she have any particular enemies that are really just hers, or is it just the Avengers enemies?
It's pretty much just Earth's enemies. Although
Okay.
I feel like I should say this just because of how big of a fan that I am, but she does get on a little love interest with Deadpool at some point. But it's not
Oh,
like
for the love
extreme.
of God.
So Just throw that out there.
I'll add him in there.
The big boy
Deadpool for a
DP.
small fling.
Boy DP. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Then
yeah.
she decided he wasn't worth it and he wasn't that good.
I don't know about that. I feel like if anybody's not with Deadpool, it's because Deadpool chose to not be with them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's Deadpool. So the
He
best.
might suck. You don't
The Wade, the Wilson.
know. Okay, so does she really have a squad? Like, I've asked this with some other people.
Not
It sounds
really.
like her squad is wherever Hawkeye is. And if that's the Avengers, cool.
I mean, she did ask to be put on a lot of assignments with Hawkeye specifically.
Hmm.
So, I mean, their chemistry just worked out really well together. So, it made sense. But yeah, I mean, she doesn't have like her own like little Black Widow squad or anything like that. No. So, like I said, she's pretty much, if she's not with Hawkeye and she's not with the Avengers, she's pretty much either running with Nick Fury or she's rolling solo. So,
Which she's trusted to do because she's a consultant and she can do
correct.
that.
Or she just does whatever the fuck she wants to do as well. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the person put in charge of telling her what to do. That would. Mm-mm. I feel like I would lose all of my fingers.
I mean, as long as you got that cologne, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose. Now, does she have any, other than this cologne, this pheromone thing, other than that, does she have any significant weaknesses or just general human, like, we eventually
I
fall
think
apart
every once in
weaknesses?
a while she gets like these like PTSD type flashbacks of like the Red Room and stuff like that. I know one time she had it happen to the point where she ended up like turning on the Avengers and fighting the Avengers because she just couldn't tell like the difference anymore. But I don't think that that's like
Ooh.
huge anymore at this point. I think that
Hmm.
was more of like a her getting introduced type deal and having these issues come along with her. But I mean, she's obviously got a lot of shit, that she needs to like kind of sit down and mentally, you know, open up and work
Process?
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I've been through trauma. I should probably think about that and come to a place of peace. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Now, do we know anything about the person that created her? Like, the
I
character?
personally don't. I know it was like a team of
Okay.
scientists, so I don't think that there was like one person that really like stood out. One interesting thing that I will say though is they did make a comic that kind of like branched her getting introduced to the Avengers, to where one of her teammates of Shield were actually supposed to be the person that was gonna go hang out with Tony Stark and try to be his secretary. And she ended up drugging that person's coffee to get her shot to actually go do it. And then we saw the rest of the movie. So that was kind of interesting. So she was actually not the
Okay.
original agent assigned to do that.
She just decided she was going and went.
Exactly. She was just like, you know what? This is my job now.
All right. And her personality seems to be primarily defined by mysterious and traumatized
Pretty much, yes.
and badass.
Pretty much.
Okay, got it. Now, does she have any significant weapons or transportation or anything like that that really makes her stand out, or is it just kind of her hair and her outfit and her body?
I mean, it's her hair, outfit, body. She's got like that black bike that she rides every once in a while. It's kind of like just like a shield thing. It's not something that's like necessarily just hers. She also, I mean, I think she can pretty much like pilot anything. And then, I mean, she's got her Widow's Bite, which is her wrist gauntlets that she wears that shoot those electric things out. We've seen that in the movie a couple times. But in the comics, they're gold versus being black to fit in with her suit, which makes more sense. Like the gold obviously was just to kind of like flash up the character. But whenever you think like secret ops and shit like that, wearing like a gold fucking bracelet just doesn't make sense in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of like that game Dead by Daylight. They just released a new fucking dress for the chick that I play, Fing Mei. It's like this gigantic orange dress, and I'm like, I can't think of anything else I would rather not be in when I'm trying to hide out in the woods from a fucking killer who's searching for me while I'm locked inside of a place and cannot leave until I get 5 generators done. No, let me just wear this gigantic orange dress that says, please come kill me. I'm working on this generator. No, I'll stick to my fucking black long shirt and black fucking stockings. Thank you.
In that game, does it actually matter what color you're wearing?
Oh, yeah, you can easily get spotted like that. Whenever I used to
Oh,
first play
okay.
Fing Mei, like I had like this blue shorts and then like this blue shirt and would run around and people would see me. And then I put on this like whole black attire. And then I'll be running from somebody. I'll run around a clock and then crouch down and then just like put my fucking face up against a tree. Like it'd be like a rock and a tree next to each other. I'll just put my face up against a tree so that way all they see is my black shirt. They'll fucking walk right past me. They literally walk right past me, and then just like, well, I lost them, and then
Okay.
just keep going. Yeah. I mean, if you're literally walking and you see this gigantic, I mean, this fucking skirt she wears for this dress, not a skirt, obviously it's a dress, but the bottom part of the dress literally goes down to her fucking ankles. And then the top part is kind of like, it doesn't have arms or anything, but just your normal dress. And this thing is like fucking sun golden. You tell me you're fucking walking around in a fucking forest and you see somebody running by in a goddamn orange dress, you're not gonna spot them, and you're easily gonna see them. Like, well, you're about to fucking
Yeah.
die.
Okay. So, does she have any significant quirks in the comics? Anything that's really weird other than the PTSD?
I think that's about it. I don't really think
Okay.
there's anything else
And
that
in the
comes to the
comics,
top of my head.
is she currently alive or dead?
She's currently alive.
Okay.
She,
Got it.
yeah, she's alive. Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, there's not like a canon shot for her right now. I mean, I guess I would say
Hmm.
there's a lot more stuff going on for her at this point because of her popularity in the movies. So there's more comics brought out. But I mean, like I said earlier, we've got the thing with like Black Widow #2 and stuff like that. So it's kind of like up in the air, honestly. I mean, I don't know exactly where her canon is currently at the moment. So it's been a while since I've picked up something that's had the Black Widow in it. If it's not, Deadpool related. So sorry.
S- So, do you feel like the current character that we know the best right now, the one who's currently in the movies, is a fairly accurate portrayal of her character, or do you feel like they took some liberties with her?
I think that they changed some stuff, but I feel like her character, like if we got rid of the whole Hulk love thing, her character's pretty fucking close in my opinion. Besides the fact that I feel like she doesn't have any of the PTSD aspect. I can't think of a
Hmm.
time where I've seen her like freak the fuck out or anything like that. She's pretty much been like right on board. And with the fact that she's turned against Shield, which has given her so much in the movies, she turned against Shield and is now with Captain America. That makes sense to me, even though if that love interest isn't necessarily there in the comics, because of her
Hmm.
change against Russia. So if all of a sudden, like the American, because I mean, Shield is a form of the American government. If all of a sudden the American government is trying to lock these people up for just trying to be heroes and save people, it makes sense that Black Widow would make that switch. So I feel like her character is pretty well done as far as the movies are concerned.
Okay. So it sounds like kind of in a nutshell, she was adopted as a little one, handed over to be turned into this absolute like super spy
Hmm.
as this sleeper agent kind of thing, and went through some kind of awful traumatic horrible stuff to go do it. She's been doing some of that awful traumatic horrible stuff. In the process, her government betrayed her multiple times to the point where she was like, you guys suck, I'm out. And then found people that she could trust, in the particular Hawkeye, Nick Fury, the Avengers, and switched loyalties, and then found much bigger enemies in all of Earth's enemies to fight with that new team. And that's kind of her story in a nutshell. Does that
Right.
seem accurate to you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Then do you think there's anything that I'm missing in my understanding of Black Widow?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I think I'm actually ready for this final quiz.
Alrighty. So we'll run back through the top five, which was first comic book appearance.
1964 Tales of Suspense number 52.
Hmm. What is Black Widow's real name?
Natalia Romanova, with a middle name that you said so quickly I couldn't pronounce, but it's
It's
something
all
like
Gucci.
Elanova or something. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Why is she called Black Widow?
Because that was the name of the program that produced her.
What team is she affiliated with?
Depends on the stage of her life, but I guess the Black Widow people? Like the Black Widows, the Avengers, the Hawkeye. Depends.
I would say she is a free agent that typically works for Shield most of the time. Is where I
Okay.
would put her
Shield
in
is
that
the answer
category.
you were looking for.
Not really, but free
Okay.
agent more. But yeah, somewhat around there. She normally wears an outfit that has like the shield symbol, so I guess we can kind of put that there. Um,
Okay, fine.
what is the phrase that she says to the Hulk to get him to calm down?
The sun's getting real low.
There you go. Who are her parents? Who are her parents?
Didn't even ask. No idea.
Correct answer. No one knows. She was adopted by Ivan. All right. At least
Yay!
from what I've read. So there might be something else out there retconned at this point. Who fucking knows? What did she want to be when she grew up?
She wanted to be a ballerina.
Correct. What is the name of the facility that hosted the Black Widow program?
Red Room.
What was the countermeasure the Soviet Union came up with for the Black Widow?
Of pheromonal lock and key.
Correct. Why does she not age?
Because they actually injected her with a bunch of anti-aging serum to keep her at 30 for the rest of her life.
Boom, boom. There we go. Got it right.
Yay!
Yeah, yeah. And that is the
All
Black
right,
Widow.
well, yeah. Well, that will do it for our class on Black Widow. Please come back next week as we'll be learning about Captain Marvel just in time for the movie release on March 7th.
It's
If you
true.
like this content, please go ahead and like and subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know when to come to class. And please, please come interact with us in the comments below, on our Twitch links below, or always on Twitter. So have a wonderful day and talk to you later, friends. Bye.